I do like to think of my service as like concierge service. I
Yeah.
really do. It is important to me to make things easier for you. Whatever that looks like, it's important to me.
All right. Well, Katie, again, thank you for coming back and doing this podcast with me. Why don't you, for our listeners who already know and love you, but for the new people on here, why don't you give us a reintroduction to you?
Awesome. I'm Katie D'Agostino. I am a travel agent who specializes in Disney and Universal travel. I am not exclusive to those brands, but I do have a specialty in those. I book vacations for families who are busy. Many families are very busy, and so vacation planning a lot of times takes the back burner. And I am here to just take all the complications out of it.
And I will tout your services that we've used multiple times. It's always nice because you really do spoil us. So when we're on the flight in the middle and we're like, Katie, we need you to get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and get our lightning lanes. You're like, okay, Dr. Joe, I'll get them for you. And
Only for you. No, no, I do I do like to think of my service as like concierge service. I
yeah,
really do. It is important to me to make things easier for you. Whatever that looks like, it's important to me. And so for you guys, being annual pass holders at Disney, the service I provide you looks very different to the family who's going on a cruise to the Caribbean. My service looks completely different. I'd like to think that it's all very much tailored to you and what your needs are. So I enjoy that part of it. I enjoy that every day is just a little bit different and every customer is just a little bit different.
well, everybody has their own needs and own, what do I say, like pickiness, right? Everybody's layer is
Oh,
different.
I very much know about pickiness after being your travel agent.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Two things. Number one, we wanted to talk about Epic Universe.
Yes.
And we want
Universal
to talk
Epic
about
Universe.
cruises. So let's talk about what do you want to tackle first?
Well, I definitely want to tackle Universal Epic Universe first
Okay, good.
because yes, cruising is going to be something that I think you and I are going to talk about for a little while and have a little friendly banter about. So stay
Let's do
tuned.
it.
So Universal Epic Universe is Universal Studios Florida, their third park that they're opening. And of course, what people are most excited about with this park is that it's going to have Super Nintendo World.
Mm,
So currently the only place that you can get Super Nintendo World is at Universal Studios Hollywood or Universal Studios Tokyo. And Super Nintendo World is of course all things Mario. So there is a Mario Kart ride. There's going to be a Donkey Kong roller coaster. And in the entire Super Nintendo world, there is the ability um, to get bands that you can go throughout and play just as if you're Mario and go and collect coins throughout the
mm.
park or throughout that area. You can also, once you collect so many coins and you get through so many challenges, then you get to go and take on some of Bowser's minions and collect more coins that way.
Very cool. Super
Yeah,
immersive.
it's super cool. In addition to not just kind of walking around and getting coins, also when you're on the Mario Kart ride, you have the ability to swipe your band and collect coins throughout there. And so you're constantly, while you're interacting with other guests who are there at the same time you are. And I think for somebody like you and I, who were kids of the 80s and 90s, like this is our childhood. This is our
Yeah.
childhood come to fruition. So Super Nintendo World is going to be, it's going to be epic for lack of a better word.
Nice.
Um, in addition to Super Nintendo World, there's going to be a couple new parks, new hotels, whatnot. Of course, Harry Potter has to be integrated because Harry Potter already exists. The Wizarding World already exists in both of the other parks. And so the Ministry of Magic is going to be in this
Mm.
Epic Universe park, which is going to be super cool. There's also going to be a How to Train Your Dragon land, which I find to be super cool. There'll be a dragon roller coaster, as well as I think kind of more, it'll be a little bit more of the kid friendly area. And that should be a lot of fun.
Hey, can I
Um,
can I ask you about that? That was
Absolutely.
a franchise that I think I was aged out
Mhm.
of that time frame. How popular, now we know Harry Potter's popular, we know Mario is popular. Is How to Train Your Dragon that intellectually property, is it as popular enough to create an entire
A whole
land
land.
on it? Okay.
So I think so. I think that Universal will never, as far as intellectual property goes, Universal will never be Disney, right? Universal will never be Frozen, right? Or How to Train Your Dragon will never be Frozen. But I will say that from my previous employment at Build-A-Bear, I worked at Build-A-Bear, and our most popular seller was Toothless, which is the
Yeah.
black
Yeah.
dragon.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm with you. It is a little bit past my age, but I do think yes, it has the vastness and the staying power. Not to mention that, gosh, there's 4 How to Train Your Dragon movies and a cartoon. So that I
Okay.
think it definitely is.
Okay.
It's hitting a niche that, of course, you and I don't identify with, but it's hitting a niche that Universal needs to hit, which is that younger family. Those dads who love Mario, who have kids who love things that aren't Mario. How to Train Your Dragon definitely fits that bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's all like one of the debates that we have in our household is we feel that Universal is definitely more of a teenager land plus.
Right.
And for us having younger kids, we're like, well, the availability for younger stuff and less active rides is a lot
Right.
higher
Right.
than going to another park. But it looks like I mean, this expansion is huge.
It is huge. And it's going to be so currently the way Universal is set up, there are 2 parks immediately next to each other.
Mhm.
This is actually going to be kind of down the street and around the corner on the other side
Yeah.
of the highway, with its kind of own, it was kind of the only place that they could expand. And so it's going to be a little bit of a distance and a little bit of a disconnect. And I'm very interested to see how they try to connect the two, how
Yeah.
easy it's going to be to get back and forth and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in addition to not just having the park there, they're going to have 3 new hotels there. And I can't wait to see what these look like. Universal Helios Grand Hotel, which is
Oh, that sounds fancy.
it 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 looks really neat. Not only is it going to be a premier resort offering the free express pass, which is the front of the line pass at
Mhm.
Universal, but it's going to have an overlook uh, into the parks,
Mm.
which is something that, we really don't see a whole lot across all of Orlando. There isn't very many Disney
No.
properties there isn't any that look into the parks. Um,
But that's a
and
foreign thing, though, isn't that right, Katie? Like, you've got that in Tokyo, you've got that in Paris,
yes,
you got that in China, right? I think
exactly.
China, right? Yeah.
Exactly in Hong Kong. Yeah, and this will overlook Celestial Park, which Celestial Park is going to be kind of the main thoroughfare of this park of Epic Universe. So they have the Grand Helios Hotel, which it does look amazing. Then they're also going to have 2 twin hotels that are going to be more in the value range, and they're called Stella Nova and Terra Luna.
Mm.
And as the name suggests, they're going to be kind of moon
Mm.
celestial themed, right?
Nice.
Astronomical, astrological themed hotels. So those should be neat as well. But yeah, I am looking forward to, of course, checking it out, checking out the new hotel or the new hotels and the new park, as well as, of course, selling it to my guests. It has not opened yet for our guests. I think that Universal is kind of trying to see when that opening date is going to be. And as of right now, we've heard summer of 2025. So I anticipate that once they get that date nailed down of when they're going to open, and go through some soft openings and some
Right.
trial and error, then they're going to open up the sales for 2025.
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to that date.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I think it'll be a big change, and also I think it'll be major competition for the region for the Florida area.
I completely agree. There's a lot of times I have plenty of guests who come to me and they say we want to do both. And I do really discourage it. Generally speaking, I discourage it because that express pass staying at Universal is so awesome that you just have to do it that way. You have to stay on property at Universal just to take advantage of that. But at the same time, Disney and the offerings that they have by staying on property are also great. And you also just want to be in the center of the action at Disney, because it is inconvenient to go in and out of Disney if you're not staying on property.
Yeah.
So I usually discourage kind of doing both,
Yeah.
because they both deserve their due diligence. Honestly, they both offer awesome things. And so it's not fair to one to do it to only do it for a day, right? So I'm interested to see kind of how the dynamic changes as far as customers go, because Universal has now made itself almost unignorable, right? This is the Serena Williams of the theme park world. It's like,
Yes.
hey, you got to pay attention to me now. I've now I'm now I'm now kicking Venus's butt. You have to pay attention to me now. So I'm really
Yes.
interested to see how it changes. Also, how my guests who are like your family, they are guests of littles, right? They're families of little kids. They have 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds. Now those kids who I first started helping 3 years ago are now starting to grow up, and they are 10, 11, 12, 48 inches, 52 inches. So
Mm-hmm.
they're now ready to take that kind of next step in their thrill level. And I think that this park is going to be a super great addition to the already big thrills that Universal gives people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be nice. It'll be really
Mhm.
nice to see what happens.
Yeah, agreed. And I will say, like, a lot of parks, this is a rule that Disney always has said, is that parks go through an infancy stage of 10 years, meaning that in the first 10 years of any park, Animal Kingdom is a great example of this. In those first 10 years of any park, lower your expectations, right? The park isn't ready. It isn't, the trees haven't grown, the sidewalk, they haven't figured out their mistakes yet. So these first 10 years are going to be really interesting to see how they modify things and what changes as they go through their growing pains.
Yeah.
So if you're not ready to book in summer of 2025, it's okay to wait until it's a little bit
Yeah.
bigger, a little bit better, a little
Wow.
bit
And
more.
let all the crazies run through too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Exactly.
sure.
Let all
And
the
it,
wizards through.
yeah, and I think it's also from like we, I think we as consumers look at it from a what are we going to do this year or what are we going to do next year? But to hear an expert say, like, you have to give your vacations or your resorts the time period of a decade minimum. As an outsider, I'm like, holy crap, they're really thinking long term with this.
Right, right.
Yeah, well,
Well,
because of
and even
capital.
well, exactly. And COVID really has messed with this park in a negative way, right? So it was supposed to be open, gosh, last year, the year before. And yes, that stoppage of cash, especially in Central Florida, has really changed the way that everybody is thinking, Universal included.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, what else you
Are
want to
you
move
ready?
to?
Well, are you ready to book a trip? No, I'm kidding. Kidding.
No.
So I will say, let me start this segment. I'm not trying to host your show, sir, but
You could
I
do
want
whatever you want, Katie, as far as I'm concerned.
I want to say that Joe, let's give disclosure about you and your Disneyness. Can you talk to I want you to speak to kind of, yeah, your Disneyness. How big of a fan are you?
I am a fan of not sitting still. And I will speak solely for myself, not necessarily my family. I found that Disney allows me to be consistently entertained, consistently fed, and it fulfills the need because I don't stop. I don't
Right.
stop at work. I don't stop when I play. Like my wife is like, why don't you sit down? Well, I can go pick up sticks outside. So I'm just gonna go pick up sticks in the yard because I don't I'm not gonna sit and enjoy a beer. I don't I literally don't sit still.
Yeah.
So that it fulfills a need for me in order to have that level of activity that I want to do.
Right.
That's
Morning,
that
noon, and night. Exactly.
morning, noon, and night. Correct.
Right. Right. And so you are a annual pass holder at Disney, meaning
Correct.
that you have unlimited access to Disney 365 days a year. So you can pretty much go anytime you want. And what would you say? You go 3 times, 4 times, 5 times a year? What would you say?
Maybe 4 to 6.
Yeah.
I don't know. We
Yeah.
do a trip we do this trip, my wife and I. We'll do a trip with the kids, and then we'll try to jet for a weekend here or there a couple times. Because Katie, you're right. Like we can just we find we don't stay on property because uh, the expense has
Right.
it's gotten gut checking
Right.
expensive.
Yeah. Agreed.
So
Agreed.
so we'll catch a cheap flight down on Friday. We'll be back on Sunday afternoon. We have the privilege of doing that kind of stuff. But
Right.
yeah, yeah,
Right. Well, and I want to speak to that Disneyness because
yeah.
I say to I say to your wife on a regular basis, I say, all right, when are we going to get you on a Disney cruise? And every time she says, it's not me, it's Joe. It's not me, it's Joe. Don't talk to me. Talk to Joe. Okay. So I think that I'm ready to have this conversation with you
And
about
I am
Disney
ready.
cruising and how
I will
amazing it is.
have an honest back and forth with you.
Absolutely. I wouldn't expect anything less.
Of course.
Um,
Of course.
so uh let me just kind of speak a little bit to my background of Disney cruising and why I love it so much. So I'm like you, Joe, right? I'm a Disney person. I like to go, go, go. I have always loved Disney World. I love it for the constant things to do, things to eat. I also love it because it gives me the feels, right? I love watching my kids see Mickey. I love the feeling that the Lion King show gives me. I love the smell of Main Street. I love all those things. Um, but I don't love Florida. Even though Taylor Swift made a song about it, I still don't like how hot Florida is. And I don't, it's easy to get to, of course, for us from St. Louis, but it's just not my favorite place in the world. And I have a husband who loves to go anywhere but Disney, anywhere but Florida. So, so a couple years back, we had never cruised. We've only just been cruising for 3 years now. He had never cruised, and so we decided finally when I started doing this that I needed to kind of get on a boat, see what it was like, see if cruising was something that we could tolerate. And like we both went in very skeptical to cruising. We knew that Disney cruising was right for our family. My kids are now 13 and 10. At the time, they were 7 and 11.
Mhm.
And so we knew that we were ready to give this a try. So our first cruise was on the Disney Magic, which is Disney's first ship. It's 25 years old. It was a 7-night European cruise, which I will admit is pretty advantageous, right? To take your kids to Europe and to get on a boat for 7 days. It's a big
Mhm.
deal. I'm so grateful that we did for 100 reasons, but most of which we got the kids to Europe in a way that was very bearable for all of us involved.
Mhm.
And I will say that even on Disney's oldest ship, on a cruise that is unexpected or not to Disney's destinations would per se, it was by far the most magical vacation I have ever had. um,
Awesome.
we enjoyed ourselves together, we enjoyed ourselves separate, we all got all the things that we needed from vacation, including what I get from Disney World, all those feels, all that magic, all that, smile in your kids, the smile that you see on your kid's face when they get to meet a princess or when they get to see Mickey for the first time or whatnot. It's all of the things that we love about Disney World, all on a ship that goes places, right? So instead of staying in one place, instead of staying in Florida, instead of I don't want to say same old, because you and I both know that Disney isn't same old, same old. You get to mix it up with interactions of reality, right? So today I'm on a Disney cruise ship. I get to spend the whole day at sea. Tomorrow I'm in Rome. The next day I'm in Naples eating pizza from the origination of pizza. I mean, that mind blowing. Next day, France. Amazing, right? So Disney and its destinations offer so many, just so many cool opportunities to go beyond Disney, to go beyond the magic, which I think it makes us feel like we're getting an education and checking the Disney box all at the same time, right? So I want to take head on your not being able to sit still argument, right? I will tell you that I do more and go longer on a Disney cruise than I ever do at Disney World. From 6 a.m. all the way until midnight, there is an activity every minute of every day. There is and it varies all across the board. There's adults only activities like wine tastings and champagne tastings, and even a tour of the ship that gives you all that intricate Disney knowledge that you and I love, that other people are like, who cares? All those hidden Mickeys and things like that. They have a tour like that. They have tons of things for kids and for families. So the choice isn't the choice is not where do I relax? The choice is like, oh my gosh, do I do trivia, or do I do origami, or do I do the characters, or what? Like there are 10 things going on in any one given time period. So there's almost too much to do on a Disney cruise that I can't even do it all. And I feel frustrated after I'm done because I haven't been able to accomplish it all. So long story short, will you ever be bored on a Disney cruise? I doubt it. I highly doubt it. And I almost challenge you to be bored on a Disney cruise. This is my challenge to you. Try it out and see what you think. No.
So Katie, what I'm hearing is you're willing to pay for me to go on a Disney cruise to prove me wrong. That's exactly what I heard.
Ooh, I will tell you, I really like to be proven right. So I'll consider it. No.
What would you say? Because, having something to do is one piece of the puzzle. The other piece is my introverted extrovert side. So
Tell me more.
well, I'm an introvert.
Mhm.
This whole persona that you're seeing now is my extrovert. This is the presenter Joe that
Okay.
that I pull out in order to be the showman,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's still authentic to me. It's not a mask. It's just how we have to do sometimes. I don't know if I could do one of those where I could, like, in some ways I can get away,
Yeah.
because I would feel like I'm stuck.
You would feel like you're stuck being one of the person, like being the persona that's on, or you just feel like you're stuck
Mm.
in the capacity of the ship.
I think it would be yes, there's stuff to do on the ship, but I don't want to do any of that stuff.
Interesting.
Now that's a conversation for me and my counselor to work through.
Right.
But I get your point. I think that's what about rides? Because I know that, because I went on a cruise back in the 90s, but I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so it was the options for activities where you can go to the casino, or you can go to the buffet, or you can go to the arcade, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I know now that activities are huge,
Right. They're
huge.
to the extreme for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but you asked about rides specifically. I will tell you that there is a water slide on every Disney ship. On the newer ships, the water slide is, they would call it more of a water attraction versus a water slide, where you go on a little, on your raft, you go through a whole scene with Mickey and Minnie, and then you
Nice.
go on the the water slide after that. So they do have, not just water slides, but pools and splash pads and things like that.
Yeah.
Disney, I would say, as far as the plethora of super crazy activities, it is a little bit more honed in, right? It is just a little bit more family oriented. Whereas if you're going on something like a Royal Caribbean ship, they literally have everything. They have ice skating. They have bumper cars. They have what else?
Rock climbing. I know rock climbing is a big one
They have
too.
rock
Yeah.
climbing. They have on the newest ship, Icon of the Seas, they have a ropes course literally off the side of the ship. So, Royal Caribbean's Icon is a like an anchor, kind of an anchor looking thing with a crown on the top. And you can do this ropes course where you walk across the top part of the crown, the top, like, which is just bonkers to me, because cruise ships, as you know, they're not tiny little boats. They are 15
skyscrapers on the water,
stories, right? So you're talking about being out in the middle of the ocean in a harness off the side of a ship, 15 stories in the air. It like blows my
rock
mind.
on, let's do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So all that to be said, Disney has still a lot to do, a lot for families to do. I don't think that they have the bells and whistles that the Royal Caribbeans of the world need to have, right? Royal Caribbean is attempting to appeal to
a broad audience.
All the people, right? Yeah. They want grandma all the way down to the baby, right? I think that Disney is a little bit more specialized in their cruising, that they do want families. They do want families and they do want adults. They can cater to that multi-generational family, but they don't feel the need to have something flashy for every age group, because instead of having something for this person and this person and this person and this person, they have 10 things for everybody. So it's just kind of a different attitude to it.
Yeah.
Disney also doesn't have casinos, which to me, I love. To others, they won't float without a casino, right? But to me, it keeps it family. It keeps it wholesome. It keeps it from being. It keeps Aunt Carrie from running off and hiding in the casino while everybody else just wants to have fun with her. It kind of forces that family time, which I love.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But I do think that you would be surprised at how much there is to do. And I will say to both of your personalities, I really feel like cruising vacations, you can be whoever you want to be, right? You can talk to as many people as you want, or you cannot talk to a single person at all.
100%.
Right? And cruising is really nice for that, in the fact that even on a 7-day cruise, you start to see the same faces over and over again.
Right. Hey, Bob. Hey, Sally. Yeah.
And you can be unfriendly, and it's perfectly fine. Or you can go the opposite route, which of course is the route that I generally go, which is I will chat up God and everybody, and I want to know the backstory of every single person on the ship, the cast members included, the crew included. Like I found out very recently. So we just did a 4-night cruise to the Mexican Riviera, so Baja, and I left the cruise after 4 nights feeling kind of unfulfilled, and I realized it was because I didn't get those full 7 days to get to know people to the degree that you get to after a week, right? So I know my server and I know where he's from, but I don't know his backstory. I don't know how many kids he has. I don't know if he has a wife. I don't know any of these things. Whereas on a 7-night cruise, I am Facebook friends. No surprise. I'm Facebook
no surprise.
With my servers. Now my servers also wouldn't have said 2 words to the table next to me, because the table next to me didn't invite them to that, right?
Yeah.
They didn't
you
invite
make it
them
what
into
you
the
will.
table. Right, exactly. But I think that you have the ability on a Disney cruise to either be the entertainer and be the loud person, or be the host, as you will. Or you have the option to sit and drink by yourself. And there's so many areas throughout the ship, pardon me, that offer both of those people. They offer a seclusion. but they also offer, if you want to go and sit at a bar, you can sit at a bar and make friends with all the other people. It's really nice for both of your personalities.
Love it. Well, cool. I don't know if I want to do it.
Whatever, Joe. No,
No.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I will tell you, it's funny because my husband, he calls himself a never cruiser,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, sure.
Like, no, you wouldn't catch me dead. Wouldn't catch me dead on a ship. Um, for us though, it's a way to see the world that is super convenient and, dare I say, super American. Because if you've traveled to Europe, or really anywhere for that matter, there's always this uncertainty and unknown with,
Yeah.
is my hotel going to be close to a train station? Or just because it's Hilton, is it good? Like, because there are,
Because there's
like,
Hilton here and then there's Hilton somewhere else. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And even for places like the Caribbean, where there are lots of question marks in the Caribbean. I mean, I know this, Mexico is a beautiful, wonderful place, but not a day goes by where you don't hear a negative
Issues.
story about
Yeah.
Mexico, right?
Yeah.
So what cruising offers you is that snapshot, that 5 minutes into the world, into that world, and a safe place to go back to, where your food's going to be, where your stuff is good and safe, like
Yeah.
your luggage is there and safe, your money, your passport, everything, it's all there for you. Whereas you don't know, when you show up to your Denmark hotel, you don't know if they're going to put, because Europe, it's rooms for 2 people, right? So you don't know if the room with you and Dominic is going to be connecting to Katie and Jillian, or down the hall, or on a different floor, or if the person's going to speak English so that you can communicate those needs. Cruising gets you a home base that moves, which is what I think I love most about it. I love to unpack my suitcase once, and
you're set. You're good to go.
And move freely about the world, which is what cruising, I think, offers my family. It's, especially in Europe, it gives you such a great way to do all the things without driving on the wrong side of the road, or even communication barriers. Because what's nice about a lot of these port towns is that they have influxes of people, and they have ebb and flow of people. So there is a industry of people who all cater to tourists, cater to us, cater to cruisers that speak English, that can point you in the right direction, that even the ports receive guests better than if you were to arrive at an airport, right? Because the port is an area ready
for tourists,
5,000 people, right?
Yeah.
And I know also that cruising isn't for everybody. So I'm not going to keep trying to push you. I'm going to keep trying to convince your wife to convince you.
Katie, I totally respect that. And I have no problem telling you no for the rest of my life. I mean, if anything, maybe out of principle now.
Right, exactly. I know what you're going to do, Joe. You're going to go find a new travel agent just to book this Disney cruise. And then you're not going to post a single picture on Facebook, so that
as if I post a single, as if I'm right. Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to hide it from me just so that I don't know.
No, here's how I would do it, Katie. Here's how I would do it. I would book the cruise myself without an agent. So it wouldn't cheat on you, right? I wouldn't do.
Thank you.
But I would do it myself, and then I would tell my wife, I'd be like, yeah, I think I'm good. Let's tell Katie we don't want to do this and tell her why.
I love that you would not cheat on me, but I would rather you cheat on me. And I'll tell you why. Because you and I, small business owners, right?
Yeah.
I always feel a little victory when I book with any customer, because Disney, they've got gobs and gobs of money, right? They don't, whether it's a bad year or not, they're doing just
Stock's going up.
Stock is still going up. But when you book with a travel agent, whether it's me or somebody else, I get a cut of that of their pie,
It
right? I get a
matters.
piece,
It
right?
matters.
And
Yeah.
my price, the price that you're going to pay isn't going to change. You're still going to pay $5,000 for that cruise, but 10%, which I love that about the commission plan of Disney and Universal. I love that that price stays the same. And I love that I have the ability, that you have the ability to support a small business, even though you're
Yes.
supporting the man, the big Disney or the big Universal. You're still getting to make the choice to give money to little old me, right?
Yeah.
And little old me has the opportunity to spend my money in my community, right?
Yeah.
To buy Girl Scout cookies from Jillian, or buy, gosh, remember when she sold when your little entrepreneur sold freeze-dried Skittles
Oh,
at the
yes,
office?
absolutely.
But I love to support other small businesses,
Yeah.
right?
It makes a difference.
It does. And I love to donate to my community. I love to volunteer in my community. And you using a travel agent, whether it be me or somebody else, gives local business your
It all
money.
just circle just goes around.
It does. It does.
Yeah, it
And
really does.
I do reinvest back in my community. I do
Yeah.
buy the sponsorship table versus just the tickets to, of course, put my name out there. Of course,
Of course.
it is self-serving,
It is
but
business. Yeah.
it is also it is a donation, right? It is a donation to Ursuline or to Limburg schools or to Kirkwood schools, or
Yeah.
even, gosh, my friend in New Jersey, I'll donate to her school as well.
Yeah.
And so I love that. I love that about how us small businesses can stick together, and
Yeah.
using a travel agent allows you to do that.
And to wrap up, here's really why I like working with you, because so much, and we'll stick with Disney for this example.
Yeah.
They do a pretty good job on their customer service.
Yes.
They do a pretty good job, right?
Yeah.
We all know that there's a certain standard that they have to meet for their cast members. But at the end of the day, I'm still just a ticket number.
Yeah. And a
I'm
dollar
I
sign. Yeah.
and a dollar sign. I'm not a ticket number or a dollar sign with you. I'm Joe.
Agreed.
And
100%.
that's the important part to me. That's what
100%.
makes it that's the difference. That's what I meant. That's why we choose to work with you and why you're
Well,
sold.
yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I enjoy working with you guys too. I love how you challenge me, because you're always keeping up with Disney, sometimes more so than I am. And you're ready to try the next new thing or
Mhm.
and whatnot. And so I love that. I love that you and I, both Disney people, both, dare I say, Disney adults,
Mhm.
we are polar opposites when it comes to
Yep.
Disney, and we both love Disney equally.
Mhm.
And I said this to you, behind the scenes before, like, gosh, I do not like any of the things that you like, or I've never tried some of the restaurants you and Katie have tried, or,
Mhm.
I love that you challenge my perspective, and I love that you keep me open to trying all those different things. I love that your Disney experience and my Disney experience are consistently magical, but
Mhm.
consistently completely different. And I love
Yeah.
that about our relationship. And I love catering to your needs, but then turning around and catering to somebody else's needs. And it's
It's
been
good.
really interesting in the past 3 years figuring out who I am as a Disney expert, as a salesperson, as a it's amazing how much of me comes through to my guests on a daily basis.
Yeah. It's
You
nice
know
to
what I
see,
mean?
and it's nice to see that authenticity too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah, that's
very authentic.
thank you.
That's truly, Katie, that's the only way to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah.
pride myself in I have a little post-it note that says be the expert, not the salesperson. And I strive to do that every day. I strive to be the expert, to be the concierge. I love
Yeah.
to I love to know everything, just like you.
Thank you for doing this with me. I really
Of
do
course.
appreciate it. And
Thank you for having me.
you did wonderful.